Police say at least 5 people are dead, including the gunman, after a mass shooting at a bank in downtown Louisville. Police say the shooter opened fire in a conference room at the bank around 8:30 this morning. They believe he was either an active or former employee. 8 more people are injured, 2 in critical condition, including an officer. ABC's senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky, ABC News contributor, former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce, and ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett all join me now for more on this. Aaron, what do we know about the shooter so far?
We don't know much, Diane. He has not been identified, but we know that he showed up before the bank opened at the Old National Bank in downtown Louisville about a half hour before opening, and eyewitnesses said he came with a long gun and opened fire in a first-floor conference room. There, we're told that he shot and killed 4 people before either being shot by police or turning the gun on himself. Police are still trying to determine how the shooter died at the scene. As you say, 8 additional people were treated at the hospital, including an officer who's now undergoing surgery and in critical condition. A second officer who responded to the scene sustained a non-critical injury. The LMPD was on the scene within 3 minutes of getting the call, and the governor and police credited those officers with saving lives.
Robert, police say that when they arrived, the suspect fired on officers. Officers fired back. They say the shooter is dead, but as Aaron mentioned, they say it's still unclear if that was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or not. We know this other officer is in critical condition. So how do you go about piecing together what happened after a scene like this?
It's tough going. It's a really grisly crime scene. The chief is going to be there for quite some time. He said this evening. I'd say it's going to tomorrow easily because he's shooting out. You can see the windows being fired on. He opened fire on the police, obviously, when they were coming in, and they returned fire. So it's unknown exactly his beef with any of these folks, but he knew the morning routine. He knew how to get in there. So did he have an access card? I don't know. I had a similar case in the Bronx at a hospital. Very similar. Someone came back and opened fire on people. So you really don't know what's in their mindset, their mental status at that point, or their mental illness, I should say. All these things will be developed in the afternoon and into tomorrow as well. Social media, exactly what his beef, and how long was he gone? How long did he plan this thing? So a lot to go forward here.
Brad, the governor, Andy Beshear, called this shooting horrific, and he even got emotional as he revealed that he knows some of the victims here. I want to play that clip for you.
I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through. And then we've got to do what we have done these last 3 years after everything. We've got to wrap our arms around these families.
And he said something else during his address today. He said, our minds and bodies aren't meant to go through this. Brad, based on your experience investigating cases like this, what's it like for the aftermath here, for the victims, for the witnesses, for the officers? Once the media frenzy dies down, and for those who do get to go home, what's it like to try to heal from something like this?
So beyond the obvious physical injuries, it's the psychological scars, of which some people never get over it. When you experience something so horrific, it's such a psychological and emotional overload that it becomes intrusive. Maybe some version of PTSD will occur with some folks. Some, it may drive them to have trouble working, functioning at home. I mean, we just cannot underestimate the scars from these shootings as they go into the days, weeks, months, and even years. And it is something that's missed. I mean, we have mass shootings, as Aaron pointed out, 15 in 10 days, and no reason for me to believe that's going to slow down. That we keep repeating these things, but the massive damage to the people sort of even immediately connected or outside the circle that have some indirect connection to the family. But clearly the people that experience this have a really long road to recovery.
They sure do. And Aaron, early on, sources told us almost immediately that police did not think that this was terror-related. Now it's sounding more like workplace violence. So how does that steer the investigation from here?
Well, police were able to determine that this suspect had some kind of a connection to that bank, that branch of Old National Bank in downtown Louisville. That may help explain how he was able to get in before the bank even opened. What they want to do now is figure out what that exact connection was. He was potentially a former employee. If that's the case, how did he become a former employee? Did he part on good terms or not? Did he have any kind of a grievance or grudge against someone in particular in that bank? Was he going after somebody because he knew someone there? All those questions will unfold as police try to get to the bottom of what motivated this.
Brad, the FBI is already on the scene. So in a case like this, how do they assist and who takes the lead on the investigation? Is it the police department who responds or is it the FBI?
Well, it's typically going to be with these circumstances, it's going to be the Louisville Metropolitan Police. The FBI will be there to sort of be a backup. They may actually help them. The FBI evidence response team may marry up with the police's mobile crime unit because this is a scene that's going to take a while to sort out. It sounds like a number of shots occurred in the bank, as well as maybe officers trying to get into the bank, a shootout with the shooter. So that will take a long time to unwind to figure out exactly the tick-tock of, as Aaron mentioned, how did he get in, what were the movements then, and then how do you put this together from probably a conference room to maybe then outside the conference room where he could have killed other people, obviously, and then engages with the police. So it will take a while. I don't think it'll take long to figure out why he did it, because people like this tend to leave a trail, a verbal trail, a digital trail, whatever it might be. There's going to be some red flags. Now, are they sufficient red flags that maybe action should have been taken? Who knows? We'll have to see.
Robert, we heard the police there saying that the city is safe and that they will continue to provide the same services to the rest of the city as they work on this case. How difficult is that to do when you have something like this unfold, to continue to still patrol the rest of the city?
Sure, Diana, you have two police officers shot. One is critical. One's fighting for his life right now. So I'm never surprised by the heroism of police in these situations. They're just tremendous people. And you see us with these protocols. You see the police, law enforcement across the country, how efficient, how quick they are, and how well trained they are. So, but this weighs heavy upon you when your fellow officers in a hospital, and there's a lot of police there right now looking to give blood, giving support to the family, whatever the case may be. Life goes on. They're still going to do their job. But this morning was something that they will never forget.
And we're hearing now that President Biden has been briefed on the events there in Louisville. We're also hearing from some lawmakers from the area. Republican leader, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, tweeted that he's devastated by the news. He says that he and his wife are devastated, that he's thanking the officers for their bravery at the scene and sending prayers to the victims, their family, and the city. We're also hearing from Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky's other senator. He tweeted condolences to the victims, saying, "Kelly and I are praying for everyone involved in the deadly shooting in downtown Louisville this morning. Our hearts break for the families of those lost." And of course, as I said, President Biden has been briefed on this shooting. We'll see if he's going to say anything about it a little bit later in the day. But Aaron, what are you watching for now as we start to hear more and more information coming out of Louisville?
I think we'll wait to see how the victims that are in the hospital, how they do, particularly this officer, and whether how this officer pulls through surgery. And as Chief Boyce notes, that's going to be a focal point for the police department. But the suspect being dead, either of his own hand or shot and killed by police, I think does bring the temperature down. It's over. There's no one to prosecute. And so police, hopefully in short order, can give us a sense of not only what happened, minute by minute, and they'll take eyewitness accounts, but they'll also be able to perhaps tell us why it happened.
And no doubt that the shooter being dead allows police to say with a bit more confidence that, this is it, that the city's safe. They're not looking for an active shooter on the run here. Brad, does it provide any other assurances that this is now seeming to be a case of workplace violence as opposed to terror, for example?
Of course. And targeted violence toward the bank, toward individuals at the bank, maybe folks that were involved in his employment or unemployment at the bank. You know, one thing they quickly did this morning, I suspect, and I noticed that there were officers leaving the scene quickly, was probably to go to his residence, because you just don't know what might be there. I mean, we've had cases in the past where people have booby-trapped their apartment. So you're going to want to check that stuff out. But as far as the community itself, in relationship to this event this morning at 8:30, I suspect it is safe. But with the level of mass shootings we have, you just never know what may happen next. But hopefully this one has been put to rest.
So again, at least 5 people dead after a mass shooting at Old National Bank in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. This is the location on Main Street. We're actually now hearing from Old National Bank as well. They say the CEO, Jim Ryan, is on his way to Louisville, and the bank is saying the safety of Old National Bank employees and everyone we serve in our banking center locations is paramount. That's a statement from the CEO. He says, as we await more details, we are deploying employee assistance support and keeping everyone affected by this tragedy in our thoughts and prayers. So again, a developing story right now. We know at least 5 people are dead, including the shooter here. We also know 8 people are injured, 2 in critical condition. One of those is an officer who responded to the scene. The shooter among the dead, as I said, so no longer an active shooter situation, but definitely an active investigation. Our thanks to Aaron Kotursky, Brad Garrett, and Bob Boyce for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.